Hello beautiful people, welcome to my channel. My name is Lauren and I'm sharing on this channel how I'm healing chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue by healing old emotional wounds and emotional toxicity. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's really important in my opinion. I consider it sort of a tool or technique that I implement, and that is when you're trying to bring up old emotions, you're trying to allow old emotions up to surface as emotions instead of symptoms. One of the most helpful things to do is to somehow get your ideas, your thoughts outside of you. Now let me explain what I mean by that. One of the main things that I talk about on this channel is this idea that people with chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue, whose root cause is in emotional wounds, trauma, or toxicity, if that is your root cause or contributing cause, what has happened is that energy, that emotional energy has gotten stuck in our bodies and become physical symptoms over time as they've progressed, as they have gotten more and more ingrained in our body, more and more stuck in our body. And it's grown over time because the beliefs that we have from those wounds lead to experiences that confirm those beliefs, because any belief that we have, and we see the things that confirm those beliefs, and then the thoughts are congruent with the beliefs that we have. That's how we're creating the thoughts, and then you get into this vicious cycle, this positive feedback of things sort of confirming them. The thoughts are strengthening the beliefs are strengthening the thoughts, and you get into this vicious cycle where the wound and the toxicity that is coming from the wound that we haven't healed is actually growing over time. So by the time that stagnant energy is enough to become a physical symptom, it's a pretty big ball of stagnant energy is how I sort of picture it. But it manifested this way because as children, when we have wounds or trauma from our early life where everything is about love and safety, and love equals safety, in our early lives, in those formative years where we are just little sponges, and again, everything is about love and safety because love is safety. Again, when we have these wounds, oftentimes when we have these painful events that happen, or these painful dynamics, these painful relationships in our lives that feed these painful beliefs, a common human defense is to sort of separate yourself a bit from that energy and sort of disconnect from yourself. You disconnect your body from your mind, your body from your spirit, your higher self. Your soul sort of pulls away a little bit from you, because to be fully present in you, in your entire energy system flowing completely, you would feel that even more. So it sort of dims the light on your energy, your energetic being, so that you don't feel that pain as much as you would. And it's an important form of protection. The problem is, in that process of disconnection or dissociation from that emotion, from that pain, what happens is the emotion, which is energy, that energy that needs to be moved, gets stuck. It gets stuck in the body, and all energy needs to move. All energy needs to move. All energy needs to move in order to create a circuit of energy. Energy comes in and goes out, and it flows, and it goes in and out, in and out, in and out, and flows through the body. There's constant communication in your body, and that runs by energy. And so when your energetic system is dimmed, is turned down, these systems are not going to be working efficiently anymore, and there is these pockets of stagnant energy. And that, again, is what creates symptoms in the future. If that stagnant energy is not moved, it's going to become a symptom. But it became a symptom because we have these defenses. And those defenses don't go away in our adulthood. They actually sort of strengthen, because it's sort of, these neural pathways are getting wider and wider and wider every time we use them. And it's a good defense. It works because it protects us. It protects us from feeling that pain. And so none of us want to feel pain. And so we go through life trying to avoid that pain, and we already have these defenses, and we're sort of aiding and abetting our defenses as an adult. And it's not out there as far as I can see that this is the phenomenon that's happening and causing chronic illness, chronic pain, chronic fatigue, these chronic things that might be rooted in stagnant energy that is from emotional wounds. I'm not seeing this information out there, and I can prove with my own experience that it's true in some cases. I can't prove, of course, that it's true in every case, but in my case, and I'm not some, weird phenomenon. I know there are other people, and I've heard story after story. This is a common phenomenon because we're energetic beings. So what happens when you have a chronic illness, you develop a chronic illness, you're searching and searching for answers, and then you come across this information that it could be caused by emotional wounds, that it could be caused by emotional toxicity, because our emotions are this link to our energetic being, our biofield. They play such a crucial role in our biofield, in our chakras, in our ability to flow energy efficiently and have proper communication in our bodies and in our cells. What if you learn this and then you say, okay, I want to try this. I'll try anything. This is where I was, and maybe you can relate to this. It's like, well, I've tried everything else and they might help, but it's not curing me. I'm still not healed, and I refuse to spend the rest of my life with this amount of fatigue. And there's something inside of you that knows that there are answers and there's a way to heal, that this is not permanent. This is not something you have to live with, that you can heal it. And you're right. If you believe that, then you're right. There is a way to heal it. My belief is chronic fatigue and adrenal fatigue are never permanent, and they don't cause permanent damage typically. These are all things that can be reversed, in my experience, in my opinion. And so what happens if you're in this situation and you want to heal? So now you're directed towards emotions and you want to heal. Okay, I'm ready to heal. I'm really ready to heal these emotions. But then you're like, well, what are the emotions? What is the trauma? What are the wounds? What's the toxicity? Where is it? So you might start. One place to start is to start listening to your thoughts and use some cognitive behavioral approaches and changing your thoughts, shifting your thoughts, noticing when you're being berating of yourself, when you're saying something that is disempowering. You're saying something, I can't do that, I hate that. These very low vibrational statements, these negative statements about yourself or about the world or other people. And you can spend a lot of time, and it's such important work. It's an amazing first step of shifting the energy of your body, because positive thoughts will lift our vibration and negative thoughts will not. They will bring your vibration down, and what we want is to raise our vibration, to raise our energy, to lift the fatigue. And the thoughts can also give you clues as to where the wounds are. And that's the thing. So if you get directed towards healing emotional wounds to heal this illness, then it's like, well, where do I start? And well, I don't see any wounds. I had a good childhood. What is this? You can go through life and the emotions won't come up. In my experience, what happens is that when some emotion starts to come up, what actually manifests, if you have chronic fatigue or adrenal fatigue, is the symptom gets worse. The symptom that is caused by that stagnated energy that's being caused by the emotional defense to that painful spot, that wound, it manifests as a worsening of symptoms. It manifests as getting more fatigued. It manifests because that's the defense. That's what this defense has created in your body over decades. And so how do you access those emotions? Because they're just showing up as symptoms. So you have a body that's full of symptoms now. Okay, well, where are the emotions? I don't feel any emotions. For me, there are all these exercises of going into your body and going into the place of pain and feeling that emotion. And I didn't have success at this at first, because like, what emotion is there? What am I feeling? What is my inner child trying to tell me with that pain? And if that works for you, that's great. What I found in the beginning, and I have better success with it now, but in the beginning, I was so disconnected from that emotion that I could not figure that out. I could spend all this time going into the space of the pain, and I couldn't grab, and it still plagues me. It's like I can't grab the emotion. So there are a lot of tools to use here. But one of the things that is just sort of this basic foundational thing that it actually took me a long time to realize that this is something I do in order to figure out like what the emotion is and what needs to be healed, is to somehow get the information about this outside of you. So you might be thinking about a particular symptom and working on what is the symptom, what is the symptom, what is the symptom, what is the symptom trying to tell me? What is the message that's trying to come from this symptom? What is my inner child trying to say? What do I believe about myself? Where is the pain in this symptom? Where is it coming from? What is it saying? That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to unwrap the message. You're trying to decode the message, translate the message from body speak to human speak so that we understand how to heal it. Because in my experience, once you get it out of you, it's much easier to access the emotion. So when you're working on a wound, you're feeling something like some symptom has gotten worse, or you're focusing on a symptom, trying to figure out how to heal it, but you have to identify it first. So we're trying to identify it. You're trying to identify a wound, and you're thinking about it. You might think about it for days, weeks, months. Sometimes for me, I would be working on this, and so often when I work on it by speaking it, problem solving by speaking, it's that getting that so many times that is when I get the breakthrough. Because I'm having all these revolving thoughts, and they're just revolving, and I feel like stuck, and every day I feel stuck, and I can't make any progress, or I might make a little progress, and feel like something is this big realization, but I still don't get it. Like, what is it? What I find again and again is when I speak it to somebody, when I'm having a conversation about it, trying to problem solve in a trusted space, somebody I really trust, who's not going to judge me and who's going to be able to give me some feedback in what they see and what they perceive. Someone who's really perceptive and intuitive is a great, if you have one of those people in your life, that's wonderful. That is when I often have the breakthroughs, or I'll speak something and it'll bring emotion up. And if you're like me and you have these really intense defenses, it's really difficult to bring emotions up. It's really hard to feel those emotions in full. And so when you get emotion by saying something, you get choked up, you start crying, you get irritable and angry. That's wonderful. That's a huge sign, because you're sneaking past that defense, and you're getting the actual emotion and not the symptom. And when you get actual emotion, doesn't matter what emotion it is, power, shame, anger, rage, grief, or pain, it doesn't matter what emotion or sensation it is. If you're getting to an emotion and not having the symptom, or even if you're having both, if you're still grabbing onto some emotion, you've got it, and just try to hold onto that and keep pulling at it. And so for me, speaking is the way that is most beneficial for me to get these ideas outside of myself. But there are other ways too. You can use art, you can use dance, you can use some way of expressing these thoughts, these feelings, the frustration, the energy of whatever symptom you're trying to unpack. Some way of getting it outside of yourself. And this is one reason that talk therapy is so effective when you have a good therapist, or if you are able to bring it out yourself. One of the reasons it can be effective is if you have the intuitive ability to know what needs to be said and try to pull yourself out if you don't have a good therapist. But if you do have a good therapist, that's even better, because they can pull you along a lot faster. Because it's really hard to see. It takes a long time to see things in ourselves than it takes for somebody else to see it in us, a lot of times. But this is one reason that talk therapy is so helpful, because it's this way that we get something outside of ourselves, and it pulls emotion out with it that doesn't come it doesn't matter if you've had the same thought over and over again. It's not bringing up emotion when you speak it. And I've spoken things even without a person. You don't need a person. You speak it out loud. You speak it by yourself. You just speak it. When you make statements out loud, and just try different statements, or just talk to yourself. And when you get a little bit of emotion, that's your in, and follow it, and start and try to keep differentiating it by making new statements along that same line. Try to follow it until a lot of times you'll get sort of a wave of, aha, that's it. That's something. At least it's another layer. It's another piece. It might not be the whole big thing, but it's another piece, and you've put your finger on this piece. And then you can use Havening, which is this tool that I've talked about on this channel, and I'll put a link down below to it, of stroking yourself to an emotion. Because when you hit an emotion, even if it's not the deep down core emotion, if it's part of an emotion that's part of the emotional toxicity big onion that I talk about that's in your body, even if it's just this little chunk, you haven to it. You want to move that emotion. And so it's this, what my belief is, when we have these illnesses that have come from these defenses that create stagnant energy and the symptoms, we need this cognitive aspect of it. We need to move the stuff from our body by using our cognitive resources because of this defense, because we're trying to sneak past the defenses. So in my experience, I've needed to use the body and the mind, and maybe other people have had wonderful success with just the body or just the mind. But for me, my healing has come from, and I've tried both, but for me, the healing has come from connecting the two. So this is one of the things that's really important, that you don't think, when you're thinking about things all the time, you might not think, and this is why I'm making this video today, is like, I didn't really realize that was a thing for a long time. I just thought, well, if I just, you get into this state of problem solving, if you're like me, you don't, and you're just working on it in your head, and you're listening to people maybe on YouTube, you're listening to other people you're trying to expand your mind, but you're filling your mind up, but you're not doing the other side of a circuit, which is expressing and bringing it out. You need to also bring it out of you, because just taking in information and not pulling it out of you, you're not fully engaging the energetic circuit. This is how energy works. And so that is a way, so getting it outside of yourself in some way, doing art, doing pottery, painting, with this focus of trying to problem solve, you might find answers there. For me, again, it's about speaking those words. And as human beings, there is a lot of connectivity, emotional connectivity with speech. That's a part of it's ingrained in human beings, evolutionarily. So speaking is my go-to. So making sure that you are somehow getting it outside of you. Because it's so hard to see stuff when it's just inside and it's staying inside. We can't really see it clearly. It's when we speak it, and then we can often see something more truthfully. Like, wow, I didn't realize I actually believed that, even though it's so familiar because I've thought it a million times. But when you speak it out loud, it's like, wow, I never noticed that before. I'm gonna take a deeper dive into that. So something, might be something about being powerless. I've talked about that I have this habit of using the phrase "I can't" or "I have to." These are thoughts that I've had billions of times. But I've really only noticed when I start saying it out loud, I can't, just about anything in life, saying I can't all the time, or I have to. That is a pattern that is indicating what I've found over time is a powerlessness wound. So that's just an example. But again, getting it outside of yourself, speaking the words. You can do it in your car, you can do it in your bedroom alone. You've got to have space to really not worry that anybody can hear you, and just let yourself speak different words to try to pull these emotions and put your finger on what is the pain that is in that symptom. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day. If you liked this video, if this was helpful to you, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and share the video online if you so choose. And I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye.